Welcome back. We've been talking about debts that you haven't paid. What do you expect when people start chasing them? Now, we've talked about companies that chase debt, and last time we talked about the ATO. So, okay, now there's a situation where we've got money outstanding to somebody, we've had the letters, we've had the phone calls, we've even had from the ATO a threat saying they're going to take legal action. So what happens next?
So, James, it depends whether it's the tax department or whether perhaps it's a private creditor that you owe money to.
Right.
The tax department will issue a statutory demand, whereas maybe a private company, a supplier that you owe money to, will take a different course of action. They might go to QCAT.
Or any of the other interstate administration.
They might issue a statement of claim, which is basically a court document. It's lodged with the court and it lists their grievances, it lists how much they believe you owe. And the same with a statement of claim that's lodged in the courts, or if you have to go to QCAT, you get the ability to argue your case. If someone issues a statement of claim against you, you can issue a defence stating why you don't believe that you owe that money.
And you can go to the Administrative Claims Tribunal in that situation and you can have a lawyer, or you could go yourself, although depending on the amount of money,
that's right,
you want to be fairly careful about that. So it's not quite the nuclear option just yet. We're still talking about but that would still be on the record, wouldn't it? If someone's lodged a claim, it would be on the court registry.
Well, if they lodge a statement of claim against you and you don't defend it, then they can go back to the court and get a default judgment against you. So that means that you haven't defended it, you haven't argued the point, you've basically admitted that you owe the money.
So if you don't show up or you ignore it, that's construed to be, okay, well, that's acceptance.
That's right.
Silence is acceptance. So hang on, how do I get one of these?
So a statement of claim will be served on you.
Like in the movies where the guy knocks on the door and passes an envelope through.
Yes.
Sort of a bit like that, like a process server comes and gets you.
And tries to serve you. A lot of people think that by dodging a process server that they'll never be held accountable.
That's just movie stuff though, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, look, it is. It'll certainly delay the process for a little while, but the reality is that most creditors these days can apply to the courts to get what we call a substituted service. So then the process goes on and essentially you don't know what's happening because you haven't actually accepted service, you haven't seen the document, so they've gone about it, I'm not going to say behind your back, but basically without you really knowing.
The wheels keep turning.
Yeah, the wheels keep turning.
And then so what happens? So this is a real watch out for people who don't know or haven't really closely followed where their registered address of their business is. Because if you've changed accountants and all that sort of stuff, it's pretty important to keep all that stuff up to date because that could be accepted in a place that you don't know about, and the wheels keep turning, don't they?
Well, that's true. Quite often these documents are served on the company's registered address.
Which is often an accountant, but not always. Yeah.
And it can be posted to the company's registered address. So it could be the accountant. It could be an office that you vacated 3 years ago. And if you haven't updated your current address on the asset company search, then these documents may be sent to the company's registered address, which actually is no longer valid. And once again, you don't know what's happening.
So I think what we've said is that, I think the wheels have started turning now. There is a legal process that's occurred. You can ignore it at your risk. You're certainly starting to me, depending on the amount of money, sounding like time to get advice if you haven't already, and certainly trying to engage. Okay, well, let's see what happens next. Thanks, Cheryl. A reminder that these podcasts are general in nature and do not constitute advice, and they don't take into account your personal circumstances. So if you think, though, that some of the issues raised might apply to you, you should seek qualified financial, legal or counselling advice.